Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is me Khushi, and today we are going to be doing the next module of Python. So we actually left two concepts in the previous video, which are sets and itertools. So we're going to complete this and then we're going to start with the next one. So here we have sets. So sets are data structures which are similar to lists or dictionaries. They can be created using curly braces or the set function. They share some functionality with lists, such as use of in to check whether they contain a particular item. Now, as we know in list, we have the in method which we can use to check if something is in the list. We also have the not in method as well. So we have the same thing right here. So we have created a set over here using the curly braces. So this is like one method which is using the curly braces, and the other one is when you have a set and the parentheses which create the set. That is how it works. Now to create an empty set, you must use the set parentheses as curly braces. Create an empty dictionary. So I've already seen in dictionaries where if you have an empty curly brace, it is actually a dictionary. So if you want to create an empty set, you must use set and the parentheses. Set differs from list in several ways, but share several list operations like len. Now, what is len? Let's just get a recap to this. Len is actually can get the length of it. Now, for example, if I have a list with, let's say, 4, 2, and 3, this will be, let's say, num. Now, if I have num.len, this is gonna print 3 because it has 3 numbers in the list. So that's how len works. So they are unordered, which means that they can't be indexed. So in the sets, you cannot index them as you can do in lists. Now, as we know in lists, the indexing starts from 0, but in a set, you don't do that. They cannot contain duplicate elements. Now, in a 3D set, a 3D list, we have, let's say this is one of the element. In this, you can just have actually 2. But whereas it comes to a set, you cannot do this. Now, due to the way they are stored, it's faster to check whether an item is a part of a set rather than a part of a list. So actually in sets, you don't have indexing, you don't have duplicate elements. So it is actually very fast to check if there are things or not. The use of append to add, instead of using append to add something to a set, we use add. Now, as in a list, we use append dot list to add something, whereas in a set, you use add. So that is how it works. The method remove removes a specific element from the list, and pop removes an arbitrary element. The basic use of sets includes membership testing and the elimination of duplicate entries. Now, if you have like similar things in a list, now if I repeat a number 7 in a list after, let's say, 2, 3 things, this is not going to cause any. But whereas in a set, if you do this thing, then it's not going to it's not going to count it because you cannot add duplicate things in it. Now, sets can be combined using the mathematical operations. The union operator, which is a standing line, combines two sets to form a new one containing items in I. So if you want to just unite any two of the sets, you can just use this operator. Now, if I have, let's say, two sets, which one of them having 2, 3, and one of them having 4 and 5. So actually, if you use a set, it's going to change the whole thing altogether, and this is going to be one total set. So you can just use the union operator for this thing. The intersection operator and gets items only in both. Now in a union, you get either of the items like from one set or the other set. But in the intersection, you get both of them. The difference operator, that is a minus, gets item in the first set but not in the second. The symmetric operator gets items in either set but not both. So that is how the differences are for sets, unions, intersection difference, and symmetric differences. Now, as we have seen in the previous lessons, Python supports the following structures, that is lists, dictionaries, tuples, sets, etc. When you use when to use a dictionary. Now, this is something important. When you need a logical association between the key and value pair, as we have seen in dictionary, you have a key and value pair. If you haven't watched the video where I have explained dictionaries and lists, I'm going to just link them down below so that you can watch it out. When you need fast lookup for your data based on the custom key, when your data is being constantly modified, remember dictionaries are mutable. So dictionaries are good in like two of the situations where you have a logical association between the key and value. Now, this is when you're, let's take an example where you have a person and you're entering all of his marks in each of the subjects. So there's actually a logical association between the key and the value, that is the subject and the mark. So in such a case, you can use a dictionary. Next, we have the when your data is being constantly modified. Now, in this one, let's say we're taking the percentage of some person and it is changing every year, or let's say every month. So when, now example, if I have a subject English and its percentage for first year is 92 and the next month it changes to 95. So when your thing is being constantly modified, you can use dictionaries like this. When to use the other types? If you want to use lists, you need to have a collection of data that does not read random access. Try to choose lists when you need a simple iterable collection that is modified frequently. Now again, this can also be modified again and again. Now use a set if you need a uniqueness for the element. Now why uniqueness comes only in sets, not in lists and tuples and stuff. So actually in a set, as we have seen, you cannot duplicate items. Right? So in the same way, there is a uniqueness in each of the elements. Use tuples when your data cannot change. So tuples are not mutable, right? So you cannot just change your data. So you can just use tuples when you don't want to change your data at any cost. Many times a tuples is used in combination with a dictionary. For example, a tuple might represent a key because it's immutable. So this is actually a very good way. Now, as I've given the example of a person's subject and his marks, now as we know the key, that is the subject will not be changed. It may be like the 5 subjects which the person has chosen, and those 5 subjects do not change at any cost. So in such a case, you can use a tuple for the keys and you can use the dictionary for the value of it. So next we have iterables. We have itertools. So the module itertools is a standard library that contains several functions that are useful in functional programming. One type of function it produces is infinite iterators. Now the function counts up infinitely from a value. The function cycle infinitely iterates through an iterable, for instance, a list or a string. The function repeats an object either infinitely or a specific number of times. So, for example, from itertools, import count. So, itertools is actually a thing from where you can import methods. It's a standard library of Python. So, for I in count, we use the same thing over here. So, this is the method count which you are importing from itertools. You can get any of these, like for example, you can get repeat or cycle or any such thing. There are many functions in the itertools that operate on iterables in a similar way as maps and filters. Take while is an example. It takes an items from an iterable while a prediction of function remains true. So this is somewhat similar to while and if. It's not exactly similar to if, but it's really similar to while because it's similar to while because it predicates it until the function is true, which happens in while. Then we have chain. It combines several iterables into one long chain. Accumulate returns a running total of values in an iter. So from this example, you can see that at a time you can actually import two things or three things in a code. There are also several combinatoric functions in itertools, such as product and permutation. They are used when you want to accomplish a task with all possible combinations. So we have product, letters, and range. Then we have permutation for letters. That is it for today's video, guys. We are very close to complete this Python tutorial, and we are very close to 300 subscribers. So make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Hope you liked the video, and if you did, please like, share, subscribe.